I saw myself in the photograph. We looked closer and I was like, that's what everybody sees? The lines.
Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow, eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling.
It's me. I just have fewer lines.
Do it again! Don't give up on me!
It's not just about her ears, but she does have a rather bland bone structure to her face.
My dad said, I told your teacher just not to expect too much out of Rachel.
Even her husband did little to boost her self-esteem.
She's a little average.
The women you're about to meet are mistaken for being half their age.
A big bowl of ice water, 10 to 15 seconds. It sounds crazy.
Why would I do that?
It is an old Hollywood technique. Movie stars do it.
I would say, I'll do it if you do it.
Happy New Year! Stop clenching your jaw. You didn't even realize that you were doing it, did you? Okay, well maybe not all of you were, but I think all of us could do with a little... Look at that. I've already improved your well-being and we're only like 20 seconds into this video. You are so welcome. Chuck me a like, why don't you? But the thing is that New Year's resolutions are rarely as simple or guilt-free as that. You must always be hustling, always be improving, but only really in certain areas of your life, mostly physical, and most of that is achieved through punishment. How many conversations over the festive season were people saying things like, oh, better enjoy this now because I'm not going to be able to anymore next year, or oh, those wrinkles are really setting in. Let me get you the name of my guy who does my Botox. Or something in that kind of vein, which I've made a whole series of videos about already. How many ads have you already seen for New Year, New Me? Don't be like yourself anymore. Your old self was really bad and ugly and we've got to improve that by punishing you repeatedly. Preying on insecurities which are given to people by advertising companies to begin with. And there's so much comparison to peers because it's like, how does this celebrity look so young at this age? How do they look like this at that age? And all of this around, they've achieved this much, they've done this much, you should feel bad because you haven't done that, so you need to hustle more and grind more and also look amazing whilst you do it, so basically you're not allowed to eat. And it's like, there is so much pressure around this time of year to become the best version of yourself that isn't actually true to yourself at all, and it's not actually helping anybody except for the bottom line of businesses. You can even say this about the well-intentioned girlies who go buying those really beautiful planners and diaries for the year, and then they maybe can use it for like a month and then they kind of fall out of it, and then they feel incredibly guilty for falling out of it because they're like, this is the year I wanted to get my life together and I can't get my life together, my life is such a mess, I'm such a mess, and I failed now, I can't even keep a diary up to date. And there is so much guilt just associated with this beautiful book that was actually meant to be an aid. Most New Year's resolutions are around reflecting on yourself and saying like, oh, this reflection doesn't adhere to what the reflection society wants me to fit into. You as a person are unacceptable. And that kind of guilt isn't really what we're about on this channel. Resolutions can actually be really positive, but they have to come from like pursuing something that you actually want to achieve, or you want to be able to upskill in a certain area to be able to get the kind of job that you want to get, or even just to be able to be like, hey, I made this piece of clothing, you know, kind of like have this sort of bragging rights and you're actually upskilling in a useful way. Look how proud people are when they're able to grow tomatoes. Like, that is way more fun and fulfilling than whatever kind of punishment we were on about in the last section. And also when it comes to personal best things, like I know people that do marathons and they're like, I managed to shave 30 seconds off my last marathon. That's amazing because that's like comparing to yourself. Same as people that are like, I managed to bench press 20% more than I was able to last year. These sorts of things are really great and actually empowering, and it's way more sustainable because you're actually going towards something as opposed to like denial. No, you can't have this. No, you can't do that. And it's just, why would you want to go down that ugly path before as opposed to pursuing something that's actually, you know, making you feel happy and good? I know that this time of year is where weight loss is a huge focus, and you will have also seen all of the ugly gym adverts that have been coming out saying like before and after, or you don't want to look like this, and like all sorts of body shaming, which we are definitely not here for on this channel. And gyms don't even have to advertise this because people are doing this of their own volition because they're filming people without their consent and then mocking them on social media. Say if they're a larger person at the gym, or they're going to the gym and they don't really know what they're doing and they may be using the piece of equipment wrong, people think it's completely okay to like plaster that online and mock people. And I just feel like this is a Black Mirror episode anytime I see stuff like this, and I really hate the fact that people feel comfortable doing this. And it's one of the reasons why I was really excited when CoPilot actually approached me to sponsor this video and work with me on this. I've spoken about this across my videos, but I really enjoy having a positive energy release, which is exactly how I view exercise. It's time to be out in nature and to have a stress or anxiety release at the end of the workday. It's great for my mental well-being, and studies actually back this up too, that exercise has positive effects on people's mental health and people's sleep. CoPilot have a really inclusive approach to working out, and I asked about accessibility directly to them because I'm that kind of person, because I never want to actually share something with you that you can't also all actually participate in and enjoy. And they have trainers who can work with disabilities and physical limitations. They're also inclusive in terms of gender. When I was actually trying to select who I wanted to work with, I could even select someone that was non-binary to be my trainer if I wanted. And of course, I wanted to make sure that the focus wasn't just on weight loss, and it's absolutely not. You can select whatever kind of goal you actually want to have. As you can see from what I selected, it was about recover from injury, build strength, improve health, and enjoy exercise. And I wanted my coach to specialize in reducing fatigue, quality of life, and strength training. I have not made it a secret that I've been struggling with long COVID since April, and it's deeply impacted all aspects of my life, including exercise, and it means that I'm not able to do anywhere close to as much as I used to enjoy doing. So my goal with CoPilot is to find ways to feel stronger and gain stamina whilst dealing with long COVID. You can customize the kind of coach that you want, and I wanted a fun, empathetic, and emotional coach. Life is tough enough. I don't want a tough trainer, okay? But if you do want to have a tough trainer, that option is absolutely open to you. I got paired with Megan, and she's been lovely right from the get-go. She's been super supportive and encouraging. Things I cared about were measuring my happiness, my energy levels, basically nothing about measurements in terms of centimeters or kgs, basically nothing that could trigger me. And if you also have dealt with EDs, I would just recommend taking this sort of approach as well. But like I said, you can make your goal whatever you want it to be. You can measure how successful things are based on whatever you want the measure of success to be. She's kept the workouts really fun and engaging, and it's also been super understanding of my limitations. She pushes me without pushing me too much or making me feel bad that I can't do what I used to do before getting COVID. CoPilot has a great deal where you can get a free 2-week trial and 20% off your first month if you sign up before the 1st of February by using my link go.mycopilot.com/Bryony. It's in the description box and pinned comment too. Even just trying it out for free for 2 weeks is a great way to be able to work out if this is something that could work long term for you. And if you do use my link, thank you so much, because it does really help this channel. Fancy a side of shame with that guilt? How many New Year's resolutions are actually about saying no and denial, and a lot kind of centered around purity in a way? It kind of harkens back to the origins of New Year's resolutions to begin with, which started around 4,000 years ago, which is a very long time ago, but a lot of that was around religious reasons and trying to become pure. I was reading through them. Some of them, I'll have them on the screen now, were actually pretty wholesome, actually, to be honest with you. Very impressive. It's not the same sort of like superficial like pressure that you've been advertised for years. It was more around character development, trying to become more generous and like just being nicer to yourself and to others. I'm like, oh, that stuff's actually not bad. What happened? It was capitalism, wasn't it? Capitalism happened. It's kind of like only once you deny all joy in life can you ascend to the higher planes, becoming the perfect almond mum, and you suddenly unlock the ability to have laser eyes of judgment that you can cast upon anybody. And the thing is that I know that most of you are in the Northern Hemisphere that are watching this, and you're dealing with winter at the moment. And so you don't even have the facade of Christmas twinkly lights to cheer you up anymore. You're not even allowed to have a nice little treat to get through the bleakness. Everything is about punishment and denial. Do resolutions based on shame and guilt actually work? Well, no. To put it simply, there's even been a study about it. Study from 2017, the self-control irony. Desire for self-control limits exertion of self-control in demanding settings. It shows it can actually have an opposite effect on behaviour because, you know, imposing restrictions and implying something in a negative way is not really all that great at inspiring change. And if someone's going through a stressful situation, as I think a lot of us are, you know, cost of living crisis, the climate crisis, like the world kind of crumbling around us, when you're actually in this frame of mindset of denial, it can have this completely opposite effect, which is why a lot of New Year's resolutions actually fail. Most of them actually do. From my experience and my own opinion here, as someone who has like denied themselves an awful lot, as I've dealt with EDs, and I've been very open with the fact that I've struggled with EDs and BDD, which is body dysmorphic disorder, like I was the person that was like denying myself all sorts of things and using unhealthy coping mechanisms about that. I was looking at thinspo, I was distracting myself with all sorts of terrible stuff. The whole purity punishment thing can be almost addictive in a way, because EDs are definitely a mental illness, in case you are unaware of that fact. Because a lot of the work that I've actually done is around the pitfalls of diet culture, about 2000s culture and how bad that was for us, and a lot of like these makeover shows, a lot of the pressure that's put on women in particular, and these unrealistic standards. I know that a lot of you have actually dealt with an ED as well. I know that that's more of a heavy leaning in my audience, and that's why I'm so aware of this time of year, because there's so much messaging around restriction and self-control. But self-control, when you've actually got an ED history or are in recovery or something, that is kind of like stepping off a cliff backwards. In the USA alone, about 9% of the population, or 28.8 million Americans, will have an ED in their lifetime, and it's actually people who have larger bodies who are at the highest risk of developing one. And it's one of the reasons why I'm always stressing, like, not just one body type can actually suffer. Looking at the standard resolutions, it's kind of like we're missing out on community and hope here. So many New Year's resolutions are actually based on superficiality as opposed to, a holistic and long-term view. Having short-term goals is useful, but what's it actually leading to? You know what I mean? It's why I personally prefer things like softer goals, which are around like feeling better in yourself, doing things for your mental well-being, whether that's exercise or going to therapy, and, things like this, doing things that are actually there to help you feel better in yourself, being more true to yourself, whether it's values-based or what. Learning skills, like whether you want to learn how to sew, whether you want to improve at video editing and painting like me. Yes, I painted that over there. It's an improvement on last year, okay? And also community focused goals, like actually getting involved in certain things that you're really passionate about and can actually make a huge difference in. None of these actually have to happen around the new year, because they could happen at any time. It's just the fact that the new year is a really good time because you actually have like maybe a couple of days off to, take stock of what you've done in the previous year, feel proud of that stuff, and be like, I really want to improve this skill, or oh, there's this thing that I really want to learn. When the focus shifts instead to me learning how to mend things, actually means that I won't have to buy new clothes, which means it's better for the environment, and I can also help other people by mending their clothes and even teach them these skills too, thereby increasing the capability of everybody else around me, or helping people out that can't actually, have the dexterity to sew, community-based help. And things like me exercising regularly means that my mental well-being will improve, which means that I can actually hold on to hope. Or me being actively involved in my local community means that other people's lives are actually going to improve. All of this stuff is very meaningful, very active hope, and it's the sort of stuff that I really try to encourage on this channel an awful lot. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm very solutions-based at the end of a lot of my videos. I came across a word recently which I kind of want to carry through into 2024, which is sanguine. It's optimistic or positive, especially in an apparently bad or difficult situation. It's basically holding confidence that things will work out even when things around you objectively suck. That's how I interpret it anyway. In a world where apathetic governments aren't actually taking the scientists' warnings and making actual change which needs to happen right now to ensure that not only our species can survive, but ecosystems the world over will be able to survive, and also living in a cost of living crisis and seeing like all of the horrors that are actually happening in the world all the time, it can be very, very easy to actually lose hope. And so that's why I'm such an advocate for active hope, for actually being part of creating that hope. Even in those small ripple effect ways, it makes a much bigger difference than I think people could even realize. And okay, I also asked in a poll, and thank you very much for everybody that participated, because I asked about New Year's resolutions and if you actually set them. 14% said yes, I love to have a goal and achieve it. 43% said sort of, not specific targets though, and 43% said nope. I was actually happy to see these results. You may not believe it, but I genuinely was, because you can probably tell from this whole video, I don't really like the whole black and white mindset of like New Year's resolutions and how they're so guilt-based and like fear-based and shame-based. I don't really like that. And reading through your responses, man, I love my audience so much. You're so onto it because you are suggesting the exact things that I was going to be suggesting anyway, which is around having soft goals, having things that are aligned to your values, and learning skills. I loved seeing people say that they wanted to read more, that they use this time of year to actually evaluate like if they're living true to their values, if there's things that they want to leave behind this next year, and like you're actually spending the time realizing some important personal truths and also realizing thinking there could be other things that I could be doing, not only for the betterment of myself, but also to get more involved in my community. Because the thing is, right, like, we all know that there's still this loneliness epidemic going on, and that's why I kind of wanted to bring up the whole community focus, because I think that that can be a part that gets missed a lot when it comes to New Year's resolutions. It's very, what can I get for me, as opposed to what can we do for each other, which I guess kind of leans into the social contract thing. So whilst I was cleaning and actually painting this picture behind, I've been listening to the book What We Owe Each Other, A New Social Contract by Minouche Shafik. She's an economist who has worked for governments and also for the World Bank, and basically has read a whole bunch of studies and scientific papers and economics papers, and has been incredibly involved in all sorts of things to have this sort of holistic view. She's taken all of this information and digested it back out into this book that kind of breaks things down in terms of changes that we could actually make to make the world better for everybody, and point out the issues of hyper-individualism, which has been increased especially since the 1980s through people like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, and there's actually broken down all of the unpaid labour issues, it's broken down all sorts of stuff. So I will be bringing this book up a few times. I can definitely see me doing that across this year. It doesn't mean that I agree with everything that was actually in the book, nor does it mean that I agree with her as a person as a whole, but you can still learn things from people even if you don't agree with everything that they actually say. And yes, that's a video that I want to make later on this year as well, so keep your eyes open for that. But a lot of it was about the struggle of trying to get people to shift away from the what's in it for me focus, as opposed to what's in it for we. And that's what I really loved, because there are actually tangible things which could be changed, but yes, it does actually involve governments actually stepping up and doing the things that they need to do. But how will governments do what they need to actually do? Oh, that's by all of us actually getting involved, which does take a lot of energy on our side. But again, by being involved in your local community, if that's possible for you, whether that is signing up to a newsletter or to a Facebook group or whatever kind of online group, because I know it's different the world over, like everyone's got different groups that they could possibly be part of. I was like, oh, I can listen things down, and it's like, people watch me globally. I'm not the best place to go suggesting this stuff. But like, there will be things like beach cleanups you can get involved in. There will be things where you can actually get involved on a more local level, which can actually have a way bigger ripple effect than you could actually think of, and help out in community outreach ways. And then also being aware of the things that are actually happening globally, happening in your own government, and then happening in governments everywhere. Because I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, in order to get through the climate crisis, which is hurtling towards us, if not even here right now as we see things burning and flooding the world over, we're going to need each other, and we're going to need to make sure that we're able to look after each other. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this whole skills-based focus, this improving like our mental well-being to be able to actually handle all the stuff that's going to be happening. Because I've told you, like, I struggle with climate anxiety, I deal with anxiety and depression. It's like, it's a mess up here, but I still try. And it's why I really like people focusing on things that they can do, as opposed to being bogged down by things that you can't. Like, this active hope, I think, is such a good thing, and it's something that I really want to encourage you for this year. So whatever it is that you actually want to achieve this year, could you try and leave it in an emoji form if you made it all the way to the end of this video? Also, just a gentle reminder, unclench your jaw. Did you do it? Were you clenching your jaw again by accident? Let's just release again. Yeah, I've been filming for an hour and a half now, so it's no surprise my jaw is clenched. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again to CoPilot for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to actually check the link in my description box or the pinned comment so you can get a 2-week free trial and 20% off your first month if you sign up in January. I'll see you lovers again very soon, and I really want to make that deep dive university video, so keep your eyes peeled and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you're not subscribed yet. Oh my gosh, ouch, please do subscribe. Because I'll be putting out a survey for you to actually participate in to help inform that video, because I think it could even be a 2-parter, who knows. There's a lot to actually discuss when it comes to university and pressure to go there and all sorts of stuff that goes on with that. So thank you once again, and I'll see you again soon. Hope you have a wonderful new year, and we'll get through it together. I know that we will. Bye.